One of the most famous stories of all the Bible, the story of the flood in Parshas Noach. Noah, we are told, is a righteous man who walked perfectly in his generation. And Noach is one of the most fascinating characters in all of the Bible. Requires endless hours to understand the arc of this character. Was he a great man? Was he a righteous man? There's a famous debate in the Talmud if he was righteous simply because he lived in such a terrible generation. But if, for example, he lived in the generation of Abraham, he would have been just average. But beyond the nature of Noach, we can all agree on one thing, that if you're stuck in a wooden ark for a year plus with just your family and every known species of animal, and you have to care for them, you probably would get into a bad mood once in a while. Forget about the animals. If you were just with your family stuck in a boat for a week, you would be in a terrible mood. This person was on a boat while the rest of the world was demolished for a year. And he had to tend to every single animal. The rabbis in the oral tradition tell us that he had to be on time with every single feeding of every animal. He had to know their feeding habits and their times where they needed their food. And if not, they would get angry and they would hit him. And in fact, the Medrash famously says that he missed one of the feedings of the lion who struck him and injured him. So this entire time, though, Noach, we are not told, suffered no relapse, no emotional sorrow, no lacking of his faith in God. How could it be that a person can be in such terrible conditions, totally beholden, not even to another human, but to animals, not only survive, but thrive and be worthy of being the progenitor of humankind all over again? And so, beautiful idea that I heard this week is that, very simply put, all he had to do was look outside the window, and he saw what option B was, and he realized that option A is not an option. Failure is not an option. If he fails in option A, the world is destroyed, and it would be on account of him. He has no other option other than to do this and only this. This is the only thing that is being asked of him. And in a small, interesting way, he is perhaps rectifying the mistake of Adam, who had also one command not to do something, which we know that he failed to do that. Noach understands that on the boat, his job is not to learn Kabbalah. His job is not to sit with the angels. His job is very simply one thing and one thing only, to make sure these animals get fed on time. Because if not, that out the window is the other option. And therefore, there is no really other option. When we look at our lives and the challenges and we think, there's no really other option, if we look at our Judaism and say, what is the other option? That I'm not Jewishly engaged? That I don't take this seriously? My life would be so much more poorer because of it. Perhaps if we think of it that way, and it's not a negative attitude, it's a shot to the dark, it's a shot to the face, it's realistic, it's powerful, it's empowering to think that I have the best available option to me, to the point where the other options are not even an option, and therefore this lifestyle, this way of living, does not include failure. I will not fail, I cannot fail, because the other options are so far off, so undesirable, that I realize how lucky I am to have what I have. As we go from the holidays and into the long stretch of winter, just remember, the feeling and euphoria that you had over the holidays, that is our option A, to the exclusion of everything else, thereby making it the only way to live, not even an option. And therefore, it's not an option to fail. What we have is the greatest gift possible. Shabbat Shalom.